Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Alright, so as I began to learn about psychology, communication, unconscious communication, body language, etc., and also about neuro-linguistic programming, I began to realize some of the things that were taught in the Bible were deeper teachings that did not get across. And I'm going to give you another one right now. Luke 6:31. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Now, here's the funny thing. I'm going to teach you this, but I want to say this before I teach it. The elites are very aware of what this actually means. And here's the deal. They teach their children how to do this. And you have to do this to move up the ladder of society. Okay, not only that, but when you're dealing with other countries, etc., you have to be good at this. Okay, people that do very well in business tend to understand how to do this, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And people that have really good social skills, this is the number one thing that they have to have. So it's either the translation was wrong or it was reversed on purpose, okay? Either way, I don't know and I don't care. I'm going to try to be a little bit more gentle in my approach to the Bible and these teachings that are not taught correctly. Because when you look at the elites doing this, you're like, oh, they're very good at this. Like, they are the masters of this, okay? And yet, when it trickles down to us, we are, now listen closely, we are literally taught the opposite of what this actually means. Alright, so the way that we are taught it, I mean, now let's go over it really slowly. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. No. If you do unto others as you would have them do unto you, that's really going to piss people off. And I'm going to prove it. And by the way, because that's what most people think it actually means, this is why a lot of people at the lower levels are in the rat race and they're arguing and fighting. And the people that get ahead in life are the people that work together in harmony. The people that just get stuck in the rat race, they're just fighting for every dollar and trying to pay their bills and, and get a Mercedes-Benz and a nicer car and trying to fit in and look good and live up with the Joneses and, all that stuff. Like, those are the people that are doing this wrong. And that's the majority of people. We're talking 80 to 90% of the people on the planet. Okay, so I'm going to lead off with this, but this is going to be kind of a roundabout kind of thing, so I have to teach some things to you. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to tell you right now, and this is one of the discoveries that I made in my course, Crack the Female Code. Now watch this. This is not the good thing to do. If a man does unto a woman the way a man wants done unto him, I guarantee you, she is going to flip out, she's going to be pissed off, and man, is she going to be angry. Don't do it. And this is why men and women are arguing and fighting. As when I get to the end of this, you're going to be like, oh, that makes so much sense. See, men speak the external logical language. Women like to speak the internal, mentally stimulating and emotionally fulfilling language. Now, I promise you, this is not about relationships. This is just one way to approach it. Because I'm going to shift to a totally, completely different thing here, okay? So, here's the deal. The way a man expresses his love is what we call dissociated, disconnected. He expresses it externally. Now, if you're a woman right now, you're like, yeah, I don't like that at all. Okay, so the male expression is external. The female, the way a woman receives love, is in the internal way, mentally stimulating and emotionally fulfilling communication. Men don't do this, they do the opposite. Because why? Because that's the way he's wired, that's the way he is designed. Now, this little caveat is a really simple fix. The problem is, here's what most people do. They make a huge assumption without even realizing they're doing it. They assume, well, this is what I like, so they must like it too because they're a human being. No. Neurologically, now I'm using this as an extreme example because this really stands out. The way a woman receives love, her neurology is wired. Her nerves are connected to different parts of her brain. So when a man desperately, full of love, full of heart, expresses his love, it angers her, it pisses her off, and it enrages her, and it makes her feel like, oh, he doesn't even care about me. See, everything we do, even if it's communication, even if it's business, I don't care what it is, if it's meeting a new neighbor, what we do is we do things the way that we are wired, the way that we were raised, the way that we see things, our perception, our perspective, our experience. All that's going to do is piss those people off because that's your neurology, that's your wiring, that's your perspective, that's your experience, not theirs. So if I were to go to China and do things that we in America consider proper and polite, it'll really, really, really piss them off. It will enrage them, and trust me, they will get angry. But you're like, but I'm trying to be proper, I'm trying to be nice. But in their culture, that's considered rude. Now, I had an ex-girlfriend from Laos, okay? And I remember the first time I was invited over there. We had like a dinner, they had like some cousins and friends over and stuff. There's about, I don't know, 25, 30 people, something like that. And I walk in, I was very uncomfortable because it was all Laotian people, and most of them didn't speak English. Her sister spoke pretty good English, and I didn't know anybody. It was my first time there, so I was nervous. So there was a couch there, so what did I do? I went and sat down on the couch. Everybody in the room flipped the fuck out, and I mean, like, what are you doing? Ah, how rude, how disrespectful. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? I don't understand. And my girlfriend goes, why would you do that? And I go, do what? So she said, in my culture, you don't sit on the couch, you sit on the floor. Look, everyone else is sitting on the floor. Well, not everyone else was sitting on the floor. There's a lady with her baby, and there was another lady sitting on one of the couches, and then I sat at the end of the other couch, and then there were some people in the kitchen, on the kitchen table, kitchen chairs. And she goes, no, but in the living room. And she goes, Michael, that's because she has a baby. I'm like, well, no one told me these rules. Like, how in the hell am I supposed to know this? Like, really, you guys are mad at me because of something I couldn't have known in a million years? In fact, the reason why I was uncomfortable is because quite a few people were sitting on the floor. And I'm like, what are they doing? Like, I didn't understand. And so I was nervous. I was uncomfortable. So I'm just going to sit down, right? And on top of it, I didn't know it at the time, but my body definitely picked up on it, was they were not happy she was dating a white guy. They wanted her. I found out months later because she was really sad and crying. I'm like, what's wrong? She goes, they only want me to date a Lao or a Thai guy, and there's like no Lao or Thai guys here. And so like there was like Laotian people traditionally, like there's not a lot in the United States. So there was like nobody in the area at all. So everyone in the room had a lot of anger towards me, and they didn't like that I was dating her. And I really felt uncomfortable, like, holy shit. So here's my point. Things that you think are normal in your family, in your culture, in your country, may absolutely offend other people in their culture, in their families. Now, there's something called rapport skills. Now, I remember as a child in high school, my high school girlfriend's mom would throw that word around. Oh, you got to gain rapport. You got to gain rapport. Our high school English teacher, oh, it's all about rapport. And I kept hearing this word. Nobody broke it down. No one explained it because nobody actually knew how to do it. It was just like a word people would throw around. And thus, as a young man, I was just like, what does that mean? And I would even ask people like, well, you just kind of got to get, and just blah, 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 vague, abstract, and nobody would explain it. And I made a video a little while ago about how I was at Denny's restaurant, pancake place, and this salesman came up and sat next to me, kind of cocky, because I was like about 23 or 24. I was just really getting into NLP. And he goes, what are you doing with your life, young man? I'm like, oh, well, I'm an NLP trainer. I'm certified, blah, blah, blah. What's that? And I tried to explain to him, and I brought up the word rapport, and he kind of got offended. Oh, you can't learn rapport in a training. It takes you 18 to 20 years to get good at rapport. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It takes about 45 minutes. And that flipped his lid. And I kind of did it because he was being a dick. So what I was doing was I was gaining rapport with his unconscious mind. Now let me tell you how you gain, so what I did was, as he was being a dick, I was gaining rapport with his unconscious mind, meaning his unconscious nervous system. So I said, okay, fine. Because he was actually here in town. There was a hotel near the parking lot of the restaurant, and it was early in the morning. And he goes, well, I'm here to do a sales training, and one of the skills I teach is rapport skills. I go, oh, okay. So how do you teach that? And he goes, well, you kind of, sort of. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it was so vague. He goes, well, I got plenty of time. He goes, okay. So he drew like a circle, one little circle on the map. He goes, well, that's like a stone, and I'm standing on the other side of the pond is another stone. And then he drew another stone in front. He goes, you step over, and then they step over, and then vice versa, and back and forth until you meet in the middle. I go, that's how you gain rapport? I'm like, no, that's not how you gain rapport, dude. Mind you, the whole time, and here's the key phrase, I'm gaining rapport with his unconscious mind. So, as I was teaching him rapport, I was doing this to him, okay? And so here's what happened. And I'm going to give you an example of rapport in a second, the actual steps, okay? So, when he would lean forward, I would lean forward. When he would lean back, I would lean back. And I did it until I got rapport with the animal part of his body, his brain. And then when I'd lean forward, he would follow, and then he would lean forward. So once you lead and they follow, that's how you know you have rapport with their unconscious mind, okay? So if you start talking faster, they start talking faster. If you start to slow down, they start to slow down. And if you breathe faster, they breathe faster. If you breathe deeper, they breathe deeper, okay? And that's how you know. Now, the purpose of rapport is to bring clarity to communication, so now they can understand you in a much deeper way with clarity, okay? It's the difference between, okay, like my front door is a big, thick, heavy door, okay? So if someone's on the other side and they're talking, I'm like, what? And I'm on this side talking, they're like, what? Can you speak louder? It's like you're straining to communicate. When you gain rapport with someone, what happens is your unconscious mind, there's an actual like neurological doorway that opens up. And it's like opening that big heavy door that I have in my front door, and now you can, oh hey, how's it going? You get along, you enjoy each other's company, and you can understand each other without any strain. It becomes easy to communicate, and they can understand you much, much better. That's what rapport does. Alright, so while I'm doing this with this guy, I lean back, he leans back, I'm like, okay, I definitely got him. And so here's rapport, and this is some of the pieces that I taught him. I go, okay, so rapport is matching and mirroring. He's like, well, what do you mean? I go, well, raise your right hand. So he's facing me, right? Now he's sitting next to me, but I had him turn. I go, I'm going to raise my left hand because it's gonna mirror your right hand. It's like you're looking in a mirror. He goes, yeah, I understand. So if I raise my hand up here in the same side of the mirror, it's going to show on the same side. And I go, yeah, that's mirroring. He goes, okay, I got that concept. I go, matching, and then I put my left hand down and I raise my right hand. So now it's like the other side. So when my right hand is up, on the other side, since he's facing me, his right hand is up. So we're doing the same thing, but it's called matching, okay? Now, the difference is this. When you're matching someone, their unconscious mind knows that you're speaking. But when you mirror them, their unconscious mind thinks it's their idea. They think that they're the one that's talking. Again, this is the unconscious mind. Now, there's all kinds of ways. So the way most humans will gain rapport with people is they'll wear the same clothes, okay? But okay, so like if you go to a golf club and you're wearing like golf shirts like Izod and golf shoes and you have some clubs with you, etc., and you got your golf hat on, etc., and your golf slacks. So you can gain rapport to some degree doing that, and this is how most people do it. The problem is, well, what if you happen to pull over on the way home into a bar and it's a bunch of Harley Davidson like a biker gang in there, and they're wearing chains and leather chaps and leather vests and they got beards and they're rough. Well, what are you going to do? I mean, unless you got like a change of clothes in your trunk, you can run back out and open your trunk and put on your leather chaps and your leather vest and blah, blah, blah. But then what if you go to like I don't know, like a weightlifting thing? Well, you're going to change your clothes again to be like the weightlifters? You can't do that. So the better way to gain rapport with people is to match and mirror their body language, their tonality, their unconscious languaging that they use, etc. Okay, their predicate system. So I went to the Dodge dealership, and I'm going to give you an example. So you can also match and mirror people by matching their breathing with your finger. The tapping, you can like put your finger on your lap or your thigh, or like on, I like to cross my arm to my shoulder and I'll tap it on my shoulder, right? My right hand to my left shoulder. And so I had the head salesman out there, and he had about 5 of his salespeople there, and I said, I'm doing something right now. I want to let you know consciously that I'm actually doing something to gain rapport with your unconscious mind. I go, do you know what I'm doing? And now I was doing it. It was really obvious. And he goes, are you this? Are you that? And another salesman, nope. I go, I've been gaining rapport with you by matching your blink rate with my finger tapping on my left shoulder. And he goes, oh no, shit. He goes, I didn't even notice that. He goes, you can do that? And what happened was I started tapping faster. I go, what's going on inside? He goes, I don't know. I feel like I'm breathing faster. I'm moving faster. And his eyes started blinking too. So he started to increase his speed. So then I started to slow it all the way down. I go, what do you feel like? He goes, man, I feel like I'm going to fall asleep. And all the salesmen started going, whoa, like what is this? So here's the deal. If you want to gain rapport with people, you need to match what they're doing. If they're breathing fast, you breathe fast. If they're talking fast, you talk fast. And once you have rapport, you can slow it down. Now, there's all kinds of ways to gain rapport, and it's really simple, matching and mirroring, okay? Yes, this is a class that I teach also, okay? And I was going to teach it during actually, I teach it usually during the Why Men Just Don't Get It course because... Now watch this. Now here's why men and women fight to death, okay? Now I'm going to get around to what this is really about. We're going to go back to the biblical teaching of do unto others as you have them do unto you. So as I was teaching men how to open up to the right brain, speak the right brain language, the internal language, etc., to connect with women first mentally, second emotionally, thirdly sexually, one day dawned on me, because I was teaching one of my clients like the rapport skills, the steps like matching and mirroring, blinking, breathing, and all the stuff you can do, posture, facial expression. And I said, look, everything I'm teaching you is rapport. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I go, look, when you're in your left brain and she's in her right brain, it's going to piss her off. She is going to be enraged. So it dawned on me, what I was ultimately doing was just teaching men the deepest way to gain rapport with their wives and their girlfriends by being in the internal way, the right brain, speaking the internal, emotionally fulfilling language, etc., etc. And it's like, this is how you gain rapport with her on a deeper emotional level. It's meaningful to her. And you're speaking her language, literally the right brain language. Now I live in California, so we have a lot of people that have crossed the border, a lot of Spanish-speaking people. Some of them don't speak any English. The minute that I start speaking Spanish, they light up and they like smile and they step towards me and they just start talking fast. Whoa, despacio, por favor, slow it down, because I don't speak Spanish that well and I don't speak it that fast. So it gains rapport with people. When you do what they do, then you gain rapport and then they like you. So yes, if you want to take a course just on rapport skills, it's much, much deeper than this. There's a lot of skills and techniques, but it becomes very simplified once you understand it. So get a hold of me. I can teach your sales team. I can work with your family. I can work with husband, wife, etc., etc. There's also something called deep love strategy. It's a different form of expressing your love in a way that the opposite sex can receive your love. So people will light up, they'll feel happy, and here's the ultimate goal of rapport, is to get them to open up to you. So everything begins to flow, clarity and communication, understanding. It's like you just understand each other better. And here's the other thing. all the frustration and strain goes away. It just melts away. And now it's easy to connect with the opposite sex, or just connect with someone for business or sales, or with your child. And this is one reason why you can get angry at your child, is you're just not in rapport with your child. Now, I'm telling you, if you love your wife in the way that a man expresses his love, the way that a man receives love, it's going to piss her off. I'm telling you. If you continually speak the logical, linear language while she's trying to just relax after work, when she comes home from work all day, or when you come home from work all day, when it's time to be more relationship social, which is the right brain, you're just going to irritate her. If you go to another country and you try to do things the American way, guess what? They're going to get pissed. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you is absolutely the worst advice you could ever give someone, unless you're trying to keep people pissed off at each other, to divide them. I'm going to add a caveat to that in a second, but first this. So here you have our leaders, senators, congressmen, the Queen of England, King of England, all those people, etc., going from country to country, and they are doing exactly what I'm telling you, matching and mirroring. They will bow the way that they bow. They will bring certain plants and flowers as gifts that culture likes and enjoys. Like, that's their way of doing it. They're really, really good. In fact, they're the masters of it, and they teach this to their children and their children, and so on and so on. So they're highly aware of this, but they don't teach the masses, because then the masses would actually understand each other, and they would get along. The elite can't control us or lead us if we actually can communicate and understand each other and get along. If we get along, that's their worst nightmare. So do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, I lived by this. And man, it did not work. And I was really frustrated in my 20s until I learned rapport skills. And I was like, oh my God, that's actually what it means. So now, let's look at it this way. And this is a stretch. It probably was meant to say, people do unto others as they like done unto them. So here's the deal. Now, I remember in middle school and high school, there were a couple girls in school that were really good at gaining rapport with people. Now, I don't know if they were conscious of what they were doing, but what I noticed as I look back now is they would watch people and listen really closely, and then they would match them. They would do things in the way that person likes, and then people would start to like them. And so I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So when they were kids, somehow, some way, they got in the habit of watching other people and picking up on the way that they did things, and then doing it the way that they do it. And boom, suddenly those people like you. So do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I really think that is just a slight translation, but it's like a 180 degrees twist though. And I'm trying to be nice here. I really am, because I just find it unbelievable that all these hundreds, thousands of years, no one has said no, that translation's wrong. We need to twist this a little bit. It really means people will do unto you the way that they want things done unto them. And if you can begin looking for that, you can gain rapport with people, and they're really going to like you. And they're going to treat you better. You're just going to have a better experience all the way around. So here's the deal. If you're married and you're in a relationship, if you want that relationship to work, and you want your wife or husband really to appreciate you, learn how to gain rapport, learn how to speak their language, and learn how to love them in the way that they're loved, okay? That's a very basic way of explaining it, but it's very powerful. So the only thing that I think is sketchy about this whole thing is that the people at the top, especially in government, etc., like they're very, very conscious of this. They're very aware of this, and yet they don't teach it to us. And I just find that to be kind of weird. And yet all these years, thousands of years, this teaching's been out there, the golden rule. And yet people were doing it in the complete wrong. I'm telling you right now, if you try to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, they're just going to get pissed off. I mean, you just might as well just walk away. I mean, the intention is basically, so let's say someone's hurt. Well, what would you want someone to do unto you? Well, you'd want them to help you, to nurture you, to help you to get healed or find help. Like, I understand that. But it's still not going to gain rapport with them. And yes, it would be a nice world if it was that simple, if we could just do unto others as we would have them do unto us. It would be nice if that actually worked. Now, if you're an empath and you've done this your whole entire life, and it was not done back unto you, and in fact it would be the opposite, like you were forgiving of people, you were compassionate, you were understanding, you were supportive, etc., and it never returned to you, after 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years of that, you get very hurt, and you realize, like, this is just not working. Like, no, it's not working. So demand that people gain rapport with you and make you feel good in return. So here's your lesson. Look, when you're good to people and then they return blame, shame, guilt, and all the negative stuff, number one, you're probably dealing with a very selfish, narcissistic being, period. Number two, even if they're not, you need to break off from them, because everybody has lessons to learn. And one of the things, like, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, you know why narcissists never learn any lessons? Is because they don't have to. Our society does not demand upon them, look, you treat me like shit, screw you, buddy, I'm never going to talk to you again. If enough people did that to a narcissist, they'd be like, okay, these strategies of taking, and then returning, treat them like shit isn't working. Maybe I need to learn something here. And they would. Even Sam Vaknin said, he goes, look, because Sam Vaknin went to prison for 3 years or 4 years. He goes, in the military and in prison, narcissists completely stop being narcissistic. Completely. He said, or else they'll either get killed or they'll get beat up really bad. He goes, so they realize, oh, I can't get away with this here. And that's the lesson. The only reason why they're doing it is because, well, they have no reason to stop. If society suddenly said, yeah, that's not going to go anymore, and everyone cut them off and stopped talking to them, stopped dealing with them, they would straighten their shit up. We're dealing with people that have been spoiled, and that's exactly what this is. These are the people that refuse to develop better strategies to gain rapport with people, to get people to like them. Instead, they think, well, I'll just treat this person like shit and put them down and hurt their self-esteem, and then they're going to feel like they have to make me feel better in order for me to be nice to them. It's a really sick and twisted game. Stop playing. So if we went by the golden rule and narcissists do all these horrible things to people, and it's like, oh, well, the golden rule says do unto others as they have you do unto them, we would be beating the shit out of narcissists and playing mind games with them on a daily basis. So the golden rule is do unto others as they are doing unto you, and this will gain rapport with them. And suddenly everyone's going to be happy. Hey, this is Mike Kollin, MikeKollin.com. If you like this video, click subscribe, click the like button, make a comment, and if you want, go ahead and make a donation. There is a PayPal link right there in the description box below the video. God bless you guys. I'll see you soon. All right, bye-bye.